Hello and welcome to an edition of Summit Business Books. I'm Jane van Reenen. Today we're talking intellectual property and in particular focusing on a book called From Edison to iPod, written by lawyers Frederick, Mostert and Don McRobert. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the genesis of this book, From Edison to iPod.
Well, this book started when I was doing lectures for design students, and I really had to make intellectual property accessible to non-lawyers. And then I had some other pro bono clients like chefs and physical fitness trainers. And this thing started writing itself, and so it became a book in the end.
And a very sort of easy to use, colourful book which everyone can come to terms with fairly easily. Don, if we talk about intellectual property, what exactly do we mean? It seems to be a term that's out in the ether. Does it mean that much to each and every individual and to each business?
We use so many intellectual property items every day. We get up in the morning, we brush our teeth with a branded toothpaste. We eat a branded cereal. We drive in a branded motor car. All of those brands are trademarks, part of intellectual property. We may drive in a very smart new vehicle which has a new patent on it, also part of intellectual property. Or the book which you've referred to has copyright. Copyright relates to the written word or the pictures in design or artwork and so on. So intellectual property affects us in our daily lives. We're using so many intellectual property items, thousands in fact every day, as Frederick and I have said in the book.
So you cover in the book, you cover all forms of different intellectual property, and you've got some examples here today where you've bundled intellectual property into these products. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Well, let me illustrate with this first one. This is the new iPhone from Apple. And this has teams with number of forms of intellectual property. So for instance, if you look at that window, all the designs in there are protected by copyright. The underlying code, the computer code, protected by patents, protected by copyright as well. The overall shape of this phone, design rights, trademarks on the back, the Apple logo. So there are a lot of intellectual property in a small item like that. And just on the back of the envelope, Donna and I figured out there are more than 50 forms of intellectual property in one object like this.
Good grief, and especially important for a company such as Apple to protect that. And they were embroiled in a lawsuit recently with Cisco, which was settled. So obviously very important to
Exactly,
protect.
with the iPhone, the trademark for iPhone, and that got settled. And there are constantly these daily battles between companies